power of secret. This is Hyptoria. Hypnotize you to manifest. What if the greatest secret was never lost, only forgotten? If you told no one your biggest dream, the one that burns like fire in the silence of your soul, could it still come true? What if it came true faster? There is an ancient potency hidden in not telling anyone what you're creating. A quiet electricity gathers inside you when you hold your desire close, not out of fear, but out of reverence. When something sacred is forming within, the wisest choice is secrecy. Not because the world is dangerous, but because the unseen is delicate. Energy speaks long before words do. The silence you wrap around your desire is not a void, it's a womb. And like any womb, it does not rush to reveal what it is nourishing. Desires, when first born in you, are in their purest form, raw, electric, holy. They have not yet adapted to the outer world. They are still untamed, untouched by the data and distortions of others. They don't need approval, they need devotion. And they do not need to be shared to be real. In fact, speaking them too early disconnects them from the charge they came in with. When you declare desires out loud to an unready world, you challenge their sacred rhythm, inviting others' thoughts into your creation. Now, the frequency is no longer yours alone. It is diluted, filtered, maybe even contaminated. The dream begins to shape itself unconsciously around what your listeners can understand, approve of, or validate. But silence, silence polishes the gold. Lesson 1. The silent power of desire. When you keep your desire secret, it strengthens in your vibration. You water the vision not with words, but with being. You become the very frequency of your wish. People often ask, shouldn't I speak it to make it come alive? But your desire was alive the moment it found you. It wasn't born when you whispered it aloud or wrote it in a notebook. It was born the instant it stirred something in your soul. And what is truly alive does not beg to be proven. It creates itself, quietly, consistently, powerfully. Silence is your first act of faith. You are saying, I know this is real. I don't need anyone else to agree. That's when your manifestation breathes deeper. That's when transformation sharpens into form. You become a silent co-creator with the infinite. You're not looking for mirrors in others. You're holding the image within, letting it radiate unaided. Think of the artist. Before they show a single brushstroke, they have already lived in the masterpiece in their mind. The desire is not directed outward, it's nurtured inward with awe. There is a divine elegance in secrecy. It's not the hush of insecurity, it's the quiet of inner knowing. You are not hiding, you are hatching. The truest dreams are incubated in private corridors of your being, in the places that no crowd can access. By keeping them sacred, you feed them creative fuel, feeling, daydream, imagination. And in doing so, the universe feels your seriousness. Desire, when kept in silence, becomes an instruction to reality. Prepare. The world doesn't need to hear your dream to align with it. It needs to feel the clarity of your vibration. Energetic frequencies do not require dialogue. They require dominion. When you dwell in the feeling of your desire long enough without external interference, you emit unmistakable signals into the field of possibility. And while nothing may seem to be shifting on the surface, entire quantum arrangements begin forming like stars from darkness. You become the magnet, not by announcing your wish, but by embodying it in subtleties, the knowing in your eyes, the calm in your body, the way you walk like it's already yours. That is the silent power of desire. It moves even when your mouth does not. There is no rush to declare the divine. Some dreams need to stay wrapped in mystery while their energy matures. Not everything is meant to be understood by the world, especially not during its genesis. Let the vision root deeply before you expose it. Let it become unshakable before you give it lips. Every time you feel the impulse to share your dream for validation, pause. Return to yourself. Ask instead, can I embody this desire a little more powerfully? Because when your desire is not just a wish, but a way of being, it no longer needs permission. It carries its own proof. And in time, the world won't need to be told what you've manifested. It will feel it in your presence, see it in your life. So, hold it, feed it, protect it. Your silence is not a lack of speech. It is an act of sacred creation. Lesson 2. Why speaking too soon weakens the spell. There is an invisible moment in the life of a desire, before it is spoken, before it is shared, where its energy is whole, intact, and electrifying. In that moment, it is closest to source. It hasn't yet passed through the filters of language, ego, or expectation. It lives in its purest truth, reverberating only between you and the infinite forces that respond to belief. But once you speak it, especially too soon, something shifts. The frequency distorts. The spell weakens. When you declare a desire prematurely, you often do so not from anchored trust, but from searching for affirmation, searching for support, searching for a guarantee that it's allowed, that it's possible, that it's sane. But a sacred desire asks for no such thing. It doesn't want you to get permission for its existence. It wants you to become the kind of person who holds it as already done. When you speak a desire before you've rooted yourself in it, you hand it over to other people's timelines, perceptions, and fears. Their energy entangles with yours. Confusion seeps in through the cracks of their projections, even if they mean well. And suddenly, you're no longer in the altar of your inner knowing. You're on the stage of public approval. Everything in this universe begins in the unseen. You don't speak a spell to test its strength. You speak it when the power behind it is immovable. If you cast a spell out of uncertainty, the echo comes back scattered. But hold it in silence, incubate it in belief. Let it swirl through your dreams again and again without needing to confess it, and the spell builds pressure, like steam behind a closed door. That pressure is power. It becomes a magnetic force that begins to organize matter in your favor. The truth is, when you talk about a desire too early, you're not reinforcing it. You're draining it. Not because words are weak, words are potent, but their timing determines whether they construct or collapse. A whispered dream is like a fragile flame, tender, flickering, still shaping itself. If you place that flame under the wind of opinion, even gentle wind, it may go out. Most people don't even realize the moment they've abandoned their own creation. They think they're manifesting when they announce every dream to the world. But true manifestors, the silent architects of reality, know the art of preserving energy. They become so inwardly convinced, so spiritually saturated with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, that they don't need anyone else to believe it. In fact, they'd rather no one knows until it's undeniable, until the miracle has arrived. You may feel excited when an idea first comes to you, inspired, euphoric. It's natural to want to share that joy. But premature exposure can short-circuit the deeper alchemy. Words can be coat hangers for doubt if they're not yet wrapped in conviction. And once you've spoken your wish before it's stable, you may find yourself adjusting it to fit someone else's version of what's probable. You shrink it, you rearrange it, you rationalize, and worse, you may abandon parts of it entirely because someone raised an eyebrow or asked the wrong question. This is not because your desire was weak, it's because it was still forming. It needed warmth, not criticism, shelter, not interrogation. And that's what secrecy offers. It's not a denial of your truth, it's a commitment to protect it. Until your desire lives so strongly within you that no conversation can undo it, the safest place for it is inside your own soul. So, let others wonder what you're working on. Let them feel that something is shifting, even if they don't know what. Let your energy speak louder than your words. When the spell is ready to be spoken, if you ever choose to speak it, it will no longer be a hope. It will be a revelation. And by then, it will already be unfolding. In this sacred silence, you are not doing nothing. You are doing the most powerful thing of all, allowing belief to crystallize without needing to explain. You're letting desires turn into directions, dreams into decisions. This is not the silence of passivity. It is the silence of creation, where all things begin. Your unspoken desire is already a living thing. Do not rush it into words. Let it root. Let it breathe. And let it bloom in its own perfect time without ever needing to prove its worth before it becomes. Lesson 3. Concealment is creation. You are not hiding your desire, you are growing it. There is a difference. Concealment is not suppression, it is sacred protection. It is not the act of avoidance, but the act of reverence. When we choose to keep our desires hidden from the outer noise, we are not denying them, we are honoring their power. All things magnificent begin in invisibility. Before there is form, there is formlessness. Before the flower comes the seed. And the seed, no matter how miraculous what it will become, must first go unnoticed beneath the surface. To rush to share a desire is to pull the seed from the earth before its time. The roots have not yet taken hold. In manifestation, timing is not a luxury, it's law. The unseen stages of creation are not idle or empty. They are electric with becoming. The silence between you and the manifestation of your dream is where the universe arranges itself for you. Interference in this process, by way of premature exposure, unnecessary conversations, or seeking approval, scrambles the arrangement. It delays what was already inevitable. In this way, concealment becomes co-creation. By not speaking too soon, you align yourself with the inner rhythm of the manifestation itself. This is not about superstition. This is about spiritual physics. The moment you reveal a fragile, forming vision to the unstable energies of the outside world, you invite disruption. People will see your desire through their own filters of their limitations, disappointments, beliefs. Their energy may not be malicious, but it is unclean. It is noisy. And creation, real creation, requires stillness. Think of the most sacred temples in the world. Are they lit up with neon signs? Are their mysteries plastered across the walls for all to read? Number. They are quiet. They are veiled. They invite only the ready to enter. So too must your desire live inside you, like a holy place touched only by your own energy. Before your dream touches the physical, it must be steeped in the original essence of your intention, untouched, undisturbed, yours. When you conceal a desire, it becomes more than a wish. It becomes an atmosphere, a field. You think it. You embody it. You let it move through your imagination again and again until it carves a path in your consciousness so deep, it becomes impossible for life not to reflect it. Concealment amplifies emotion, which is the true heartbeat of all manifestation. When you feel it, more than you speak it, it becomes magnetic. The universe speaks emotion more fluently than language, and it works with your vibration long before your voice. There is sacred pleasure in holding something only you know about. The secret relationship you carry with your dream becomes its own kind of intimacy. Nobody can water it down with their logic. Nobody can tell you what's impossible, because nobody knows it exists. It's yours in the most powerful way something can belong to you, by being entirely unseen and completely active all at once. The modern world has confused visibility with validation, as if broadcast equals belief. But a true manifestation, the ones that shatter timelines and knock down doors, often come silently, seamlessly, almost invisibly, until you can no longer hide the results. The outer world will see it when it is finished. Until then, it's sacred, and so the invitation is simple. Not everything you're birthing needs to be shown in labor. Some things become real in quiet. The concealed space is not void, it's divine. It's where dream work becomes framework. It's where the invisible molds the visible. It's where all-powerful manifestation is born, within. Let life feel your desire before anyone hears it. Let the universe respond to your vibration before the world ever sees a trace. Let your desire gestate in the womb of concealment, where no one's doubt can reach it, and no one's question can contaminate it. What you conceal, you do not weaken. You empower. In quiet, your desire gathers momentum underneath the surface, like roots gripping the soil, until one day it breaks through with such undeniable force. Not even the loudest noise can deny what has emerged. Let your desire remain beneath the surface long enough to grow strong. Let it become undeniable. Let it become inevitable. Lesson 4. Protect the energy before it's physical. There's a sacred moment in the journey of every creation, one few speak about, but all feel if they've ever longed deeply enough. It's the unseen stage, the invisible womb of time before the manifestation shows up in full form. And it's in this space that your desire is most sensitive, most magnetic, and most susceptible to external interruption. Your role during this time is simple, and yet spiritually demanding. Protect the energy before it becomes physical. Everything you want already exists in energetic form. Before it becomes visible, a job, a relationship, a home, a healed body. It is only a footprint in the field of the invisible. That field listens before it responds. It responds only to frequencies that stay clean, confident, and focused. When you tune your inner world, your thoughts, your imaginings, your unspoken beliefs to a desire, you are setting the blueprint. That blueprint is your manifestation's life code. Do not let anyone tamper with it. Imagine you are an architect designing a sacred temple. Would you allow random visitors to scribble over your plans while they're still being drafted? Would you let critics question your choices before the foundation is even poured? Of course not. Yet we do this with our desires. We mention them over dinner. We share them with friends who don't understand our path. We chase validation from those who don't feel the pulse of our vision. And with every outside opinion, our frequency wobbles. Every doubt you accept weakens the structure you're building. Words, especially misplaced ones, can shift timelines. This is not about hiding. It's not about fear. It's about clarity. When something doesn't yet exist in form, it exists only in vibration. That vibration is changeable, fluid, alive. It is your job to keep it pure, like sacred fire on an altar. The moment you protect your desire, like something already real, already alive, you send a signal. This is mine. This is forming. This is happening. Think of manifesting like gestation. A baby takes form in the darkness of the womb, long before the world ever sees a face or hears a cry. And no mother would speak carelessly into that process. Instinctively, she protects it. Only love, ease, nourishment, and deep trust are allowed in. This is your spiritual responsibility, to treat your desire with that same reverence. Before it becomes physical, guard it with inner conviction. Feed it with inner seeing. Shelter it from the cold wind of what if and how will it happen. That is not your concern. Your concern is alignment, not explanation. Sometimes what kills a manifestation is not doubt from within. It's distortion from without. Someone else's disbelief subtly enters your mind when you seek feedback. You feel good about your idea, but someone raises an eyebrow and suddenly your energy splinters. They didn't mean to harm it, but the damage is done. The clean signal is now cloudy. Manifestation is about sustaining a frequency long enough that matter conforms to it. Don't risk tuning out of your own channel to accommodate others. Everything real begins in the realm of the invisible. Electricity, gravity, thought, emotion. None of these are seen, yet their effects shape entire worlds. Your desire is no different. When you affirm it internally, when you see it with closed eyes and feel its presence before anything happens, you are not imagining in vain. You are participating in creation. It is already happening in a place the five senses cannot access. That does not make it less real. It makes it more sacred. Allow this to empower you. You do not need to prove your desire to anyone. You do not need to document it, explain it, post about it, or put it up for debate. Doing so opens gateways for unnecessary energetic interference. Not everyone is meant to understand the alchemy working through you. Honor your inner temple enough to keep its door closed until the manifestation is ready to walk into the light. The unseen is not emptiness. It is where the soul of the thing forms. Silence is not a void. It is a womb. Stillness is not inaction. It is perfection in motion, happening in another dimension. Stay loyal to what you've felt. Protect it until it cannot be shaken. Let the world question your silence. Let them wonder. Let them say nothing is happening. Hold the frequency anyway. Breathe with it. Talk to it behind your ribcage. Nourish it in your dreams. And one day, without warning, while you're walking through life with quiet certainty, your desire will arrive, whole, perfect, undeniable. Not because you shouted it, but because you built its energy so solid that the physical world had no choice but to obey. You protected it, and now it is real. Lesson 5. The Spiritual Law of Secrecy. There is a sacred rhythm in the way the universe births the invisible into the visible, and secrecy is one of its highest laws. Not secrecy born of shame or fear, but of reverence. What is cherished is not flaunted. What is still forming is not disturbed. Just as a seed cannot be dug up every day to check on its progress, Neither should your desires be unearthed with casual speech or external validation. The deeper the desire, the softer the echo. The more powerful the manifestation, the less it should be spoken. Worldly noise will never understand what the soul is quietly growing. This spiritual law is not about hiding, it is about preserving. Just as a musician rehearses before the performance, your desire too must be composed in silence. Each unspoken thought is a note, each inner vision a harmonic. When you give voice to what is barely formed, you interfere with the score. The law of secrecy teaches that divine timing is entwined with divine discretion. The soul knows when something is ripe to be shown. Until then, it belongs not to the world, but to you and the infinite. In the unseen, your desire is alive. It has frequency, vibration, signature. It is sensed by the universe not because you speak it aloud, but because you hold it in quiet communion with your inner self. Secrecy generates energy. It is the pressure within the cocoon that compels the butterfly to form. Speak it too soon, and the cocoon tears. What was meant to fly is now too weak to lift. The law of secrecy is ruthless in its clarity. What is released too early into the world is often devoured by opinion, fear, or misunderstanding. Think of desire as a sacred flame. When it is contained, it grows. It warms you from the inside, awakens direction, attracts people and events without your explanation. But when you thrust that flame into the open without structure or readiness, it is either stolen, blown out, or reduced to smoke. The strongest desires are not the ones shouted. They are the ones kept in holy silence, long enough to become a magnet for their own fulfillment. The spiritual law of secrecy whispers, not everyone should know what lives in your heart. Not every wish is ready for light. Not every soul is safe to receive what your soul is working to birth. There is a mystical wisdom in the restraint. To not speak is to demonstrate trust in your soul's power to manifest. You do not doubt a seed's ability to sprout. You simply water it, knowing what must bloom will bloom. The same is true with your silent, persistent inner dream. There is a divine intelligence that orchestrates all things. It responds not to noise, but to certainty. Not to announcements, but to resonance. What you conceal within the sanctuary of the mind and infuse with emotion and focus, that becomes incorruptible. When you align with this law, you enter a more refined timeline. One where your energy moves ahead of you, clearing space, making introductions, creating roads where there were once only walls. This is not superstition, it is precision. It is inner knowing that not all desires require a witness, only embodiment. You are not withholding your dream from the world out of lack of courage. You are allowing the universe to surprise them with the final form. The law of secrecy is the universe's quiet contract with the soul. Carry the dream in stillness, and I will exalt it in time. So hold your desire close, like a letter sealed with gold. Read it only to yourself. Let it echo in your heartbeat, not your voice. Let it gather velocity in the silence. Let it become heavy with inevitability. When it is time, the universe will give it shape, weight, wings. Until then, keep it secret. Keep it sacred. Keep it yours. And remember, the most undeniable manifestations are not the ones anticipated out loud. They are the ones that arrive like miracles, born in silence and landing in awe. Lesson 6. The Womb of the Unseen. There is a space, sacred and unseen, where all creation begins. It is not found in the outer world, but in the inner chambers of imagination, still, holy, untouched by doubt or delay. It is here your desires gestate, safe from disruption, safe from noise. In this invisible space, you're not waiting for the world to grant you permission. You're becoming the mother of your own reality, holding the seed of what will be until it is ready to breathe in full form. Every powerful manifestation is born from this womb of the unseen. And like all wombs, it requires darkness, warmth, and time. The spiritual law that governs creation does not ask for performance or public approval. It asks for stillness. It asks for faith without spectacle. It asks you to trust yourself more than you trust applause, to lean into the moment when nothing appears to be happening and believe that everything is. Creation is not loud. It's rhythmic and secretive, like the silent formation of galaxies far beyond our reach, yet undeniably real. People often try to manifest by forcing visibility, by sharing too much, talking too soon, chasing validation to prove the desire is legitimate. But you don't need to convince anyone. Manifestation is not a democracy. It's sacred communion. The moment of conception doesn't need a crowd. In fact, it won't happen with one. Your desire chooses you alone in the dark. No witnesses, no interruption, no echo of outside doubt. This is why staying hidden at first is not something to resist, but to revere. The womb stage is where the real work happens, the alchemical shaping of your reality. If silence feels uncomfortable, it's not because something is wrong. It's because you're unlearning addiction to outward noise. Silence is not emptiness, it's fullness, not yet formed. What you're feeling is the power starting to concentrate. The dream hasn't vanished. It's gathering itself. It's rooting into your nervous system, your identity, your vibration. Invisibility is not a void, it's a veil. Underneath it, your desire is growing limbs. It's blooming even while the surface is still. Trust that what is invisible to the outer eye is not invisible to the divine current orchestrating your path. The world teaches urgency, to launch, to speak, to show results. But your soul teaches fertility. You must treat your dreams the way sacred codes are treated, hidden until activated, kept sealed until they're ready to open themselves. Do not speak your magic into a world that cannot yet hold it. The womb does not explain what it's building. It does not rush. It protects. There is great strength in letting something exist fully in spirit before forcing it into form. When you withhold your desire from unnecessary exposure, you allow the expression of it to mature within you. You don't just hope for it, you embody it. It weaves into your being so deeply that when it finally arrives, it feels inevitable. It's not something you chase anymore. It's something you've become. And transformation like that, it can't be born on the surface. It must be shaped in the unseen first. So, let your desire pulse quietly beneath your everyday acts. Let it become the background rhythm to how you walk, breathe, talk, think, and let no one know. Whisper it only to the infinite intelligence within you. Speak it only in the language of belief. Do not share your sacred pattern with those still living in disbelief. They will not see the holy blueprint, only the paper. They'll try to correct what they cannot feel. But you, love, are feeling your future inside you. In the womb of the unseen, you are creation itself. Let silence surround the process like amniotic waters. Let mystery hold space like a cocoon before the butterfly knows it has wings. You don't owe your truth to the world, not until it's undeniable. And when it is, you won't need to explain how it happened. You'll simply live it. Until then, stay hidden, stay holy, stay becoming. Everything you've asked for is already taking shape. It just needs your silence a little longer. Lesson 7. Speak it only to yourself. There is a voice that speaks within you, quieter than whisper, but louder than the world, if you're willing to hear it. This voice is where your desires take form, where vision begins. It is sacred counsel, internal and divine. When you speak your desires only to yourself, something extraordinary happens. You enter communion with the Creator within. You are no longer declaring what you want to the outside world, begging for approval or understanding. You are declaring it to your inner world, the only world that truly manifests. Most people think affirmation is about repetition, but true affirmation isn't public performance. It's private alignment. There's magic in the murmured words you say when no one is listening. When your voice echoes only in your mind, your room, your journal, it becomes a spell of resonance. Quiet speaking to self is not small. It is tremendous. It reprograms reality at its root because it bypasses all interference. The truth is, no one can fully understand the frequency of your desire because it wasn't meant for them. It was born in your soul, not theirs. And so, when you speak your desire only to yourself, you are preserving its language. You are not translating it into something others can relate to. You are steeping in its original frequency. Every time you go inward and repeat the vision in your own words, in your own tone, you are tuning the instrument of your being to the vibration of the fulfilled desire. Don't dismiss the dialogues you have in silence. These are not idle thoughts. They are creative commands. When you speak to yourself in the language of "it is done," the universe listens, not through a crowd, not through a microphone, through the stillness between your thoughts. That is its favorite temple. When others ask what you're working on, where you're heading, what you want most, you don't owe them the script. If your spirit instructs you to share, share only what is already fulfilled in your heart. But even then, consider whether revealing it is necessary. Often, the deepest alignment happens in moments when everyone around you thinks you're simply living your life, when in truth, you are building galaxies behind your eyes. Private affirmations, secret visualizations, intimate journaling. These aren't merely habits, they are spiritual engineering. The inner voice becomes a trusted channel, and the more attention you give it, the clearer it speaks. It begins to reveal sacred steps, divine nudges, unplanned synchronicities. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Your words to yourself are instructions to creation. Are you whispering doubt? Or anchoring truth? Are you muttering uncertainty under your breath? Or speaking as if what you desire already belongs to you? The subtle inner dialogue is not passive. It shapes motion. It arranges meetings, moves circumstances, organizes events below the surface. Every imagined conversation, every thank you said in solitude, every declaration to your reflection in the mirror at sunrise, that is manifestation in motion. It may feel small, but it's cosmic. Let your lips be sealed, not out of secrecy born from fear, but out of reverence. You don't need the world to echo back your belief. You only need your own echo. The most profound affirmations are not shouted. They are woven into breath, into nightly murmurs before sleep, into midday stillness when the vision returns and your heart swells again with yes. Speak to yourself like the desire has already happened, because in many timelines, it already has. If today you only say your dream aloud to yourself inside your car, on a walk, in the shower, or while lying in bed, that is enough. If that's the only place the dream lives vocally right now, it is still alive. Maybe even more alive than it would be if you posted about it for the world to see and respond to. Sound that goes inward builds power. Don't just believe in your dream. Talk to it. Feed it your voice. Tell yourself every day, it is already mine. And listen closely. For the moment you believe that voice, the world will follow. Lesson 8. Sacred desires are not for public debate. The most sacred desires do not ask to be discussed. They ask to be honored. These are the desires whispered in the sanctuary of your soul, the ones that electrify your spine when you allow yourself to imagine them. They rise like divine breath from the deepest part of your being, untouched by logic, unapproved by the world, and often unexplainable to anyone else. They don't belong at the dinner table or on the group chat. They are not offerings for public debate or consensus. When something is sacred, it demands protection, and protection begins with silence. To bring your holy vision before those who have not earned the right to see it is to invite distortion, not because others are unkind, but because they simply do not carry your exact frequency of belief. Even well-meaning voices can clip the wings of an unseen dream. They want to understand, to measure, to guide, to suggest. But motivation diluted by opinions becomes confusion disguised as conversation. Your sacred desires do not thrive in committee. They thrive in closeness with the divine, that quiet space where only you and the Creator hear each other clearly. The sacred cannot be tampered with, and yet most people unknowingly do so, not by intention, but by exposing their desires too early to minds that aren't prepared to hold them. Think of ancient temples. They were not planted in crowded marketplaces. They were built in seclusion, carved into rocks, hidden behind veils. Access was granted only to the initiated, to those who moved in reverence. Your desire deserves that same kind of holy treatment. Not every person is fit to see the altar of your becoming. You might be tempted to share, to tell someone your big vision so it feels more real, or to prove you're ready. But what if the real proof is that you don't need to talk about it at all? The deeper truth is this: speaking your sacred desire before it has matured is like forcing open a rose before it's bloomed. You bruise the petals, you interrupt the timing, and once it's exposed, it starts trying to survive the conditions instead of unfolding in its own divine rhythm. There comes a point on your path, as a deliberate creator, when silence becomes your most potent form of communication. You learn that validation is not fuel, It's a detour, that protecting your desire from outside perception actually strengthens your connection to it. Here in the silence, your energy doesn't scatter. It deepens. It roots. It declares its own worth, without performance or explanation. This is the space where miracles ripen. You may worry, but what if I need support? What if I need to talk it through? This is valid, but even here, discernment is your ally. Speak only to those who already believe in magic, those who won't ask logical questions or suggest practical steps. Find souls who speak reverence, not reaction. But know this, the most powerful conversations will still be the ones you have in the quiet chambers of your own mind. Talk to your desire as if it's already here. Wrap it in warmth. Feed it with emotion, not exposure. The soul doesn't need to prove its vision to be worthy of receiving it. You are not hiding your dream from the world out of fear. You are shielding it from spiritual interference. There is nothing timid about this kind of silence. It is sovereign, bold, magnetic. It recognizes that your desire is holy, and not every sacred thing survives public air. In fact, the more sacred something is, the more fragile it becomes when brought into the wrong vibration too soon. And so, you learn to hold. You learn to listen. You learn to nourish. Some things are too bright to look at directly in the beginning. That doesn't make them imaginary. It makes them rare. And you, dear reader, are being initiated into a higher kind of authority. One that doesn't seek applause or permission. Only resonance. Only alignment. Only truth. When the time comes, the world will feel your desire, not because you spoke it, but because you became it. So, let them wonder. Let the silence speak for you. Cloak your vision in mystery. Let it gather weight in the unseen. Because when it reveals itself, it won't be open to discussion. It will be undeniable. Lesson 9. Loose lips cancel miracles. There is a certain stillness required for a miracle to take form. A quiet, unbothered stillness. Not of inactivity, but of inner certainty so strong it doesn't need a witness. Every word you speak about your desire has power. But not all power builds. Some power, when misused, disperses. Pipelines of potential become leaky when too many voices are allowed in. Loose lips do not only betray secrets, they often dismantle miracles that have already begun working their way to you in the unseen. Your desire is not a topic for casual discussion. It is not meant to be dissected at brunch, debated over drinks, or laid bare in the comment section of someone else's doubts. What you desire is sacred. It's your dialogue with the divine. And when you allow too many other voices into that dialogue, the frequency gets scrambled. Imagine tuning into your favorite song, only to hear static and stations overlapping, drowning out the melody. That's what happens when you speak too freely about what hasn't yet rooted itself into physical form. There is an invisible architecture to manifestation. Before the house appears on the land, the blueprint exists. Before the gold is mined, the vein of ore runs unseen beneath the earth. To share a desire before it becomes strong enough to hold its own is like pulling open the oven door every few minutes while a delicate cake is rising. The heat escapes and the form collapses. You don't mean to stop the magic, but you unseal the very container that was making it possible. And the universe, gently but clearly, slows. Not to punish you, but to redirect energy that has now been scattered. Many speak their desires out of excitement, needing someone to understand or validate the dream. But here lies the trap. Validation from others' lives in the realm of the visible. Manifestation begins in the invisible. If you build your desire on the reactions of others, then you are stepping away from the world of inner truth and into the slippery shadow of approval. Your desire begins to exist not for your fullest expression, but for the response it gets. And when the response is missing, or worse, negative, doubt seeps in where trust should have lived. Loose lips speak from the mind. Miracles unfold from the soul. The soul whispers. It doesn't shout. It communes. It doesn't convince. If you feel a pull to share what you're creating, ask yourself, am I speaking from knowing, or am I speaking from needing to be believed? The more you need validation, the less you believe it already is. And energy follows belief. Always. So, if you're tempted to speak, pause. Let the desire swell in silence until it can speak for itself. not through words, but through reality. There's a mysterious elegance to the unseen. Think of candlelight that flickers deeply in a room hidden from view. The longer it burns in solitude, the more warmth it gathers, the more light it generates. When the time is right, the door will open. Not because you flung it open too soon, but because the flame has now become a fire that cannot be ignored. The reveal happens effortlessly when the seed has fully bloomed in the dark. You don't owe anyone an explanation for what hasn't materialized yet. You don't have to prove your path to anyone who cannot see it. Protect your vision the way a master painter protects a masterpiece in progress, not for fear of judgment, but because the process is not finished, and premature eyes may not understand its brilliance. Not all scrutiny comes from cruelty. Even the well-meaning can inject doubt unknowingly, and your dream is too sacred to risk that kind of distortion. Let this truth sink deep into your energy. Not everything divine needs to be declared. Some things are meant to be lived, quietly shaping the fabric of your reality behind the veil of silence. And when they finally emerge, they carry the weight of inevitability. People don't ask how it happened. They simply feel the certainty in its presence. That's the miracle speaking now, not you. So, protect your miracles in progress. Resist the urge to confess what the soul is still crafting. What you silence and trust, you build in power. What you keep sacred, you magnetize. Some things bloom only in the dark. Let your miracle be one of them.